part 2 of visiting the Canary Islands. I had just got off the ferry into La Palma. It was so beautiful. The weather was much nicer here than it was in Tenerife. It took me a second to figure out which bus I needed to go to get to the hostel. It was about maybe an hour bus ride. And here, Tenerife is a much bigger island, more touristy. This is full of nature, so it was a little harder to navigate on the maps, but I did my best and I found my way. And it was crazy because it was so sunny down by the port, and as we started going up the mountain, it started to rain. But as soon as we went through this tunnel, it was like night and day, and the sun came out and the weather was beautiful again. So I finally got to where I needed to go, and I found my hostel, Vagamundo. I loved this place so much, and the people were so amazing there. I loved that they had a guitar and musical instruments for people to play, and my room wasn't quite ready when I first got there, so I was just grabbed the guitar singing. I'm a piano player, so my guitar skills are not the best, but when there's musical instruments, I will take my chance. I also am a musician, so I have music on Spotify and iTunes, all the streaming services. So if you do want to hear the recorded version of this song, go ahead and check that out, Alicia Nicole. In Tenerife, I had everything planned, but in La Palma, I was in a go-with-the-flow vibe, and thankfully, the volunteers were so nice and invited me to come with them to the beach, and we enjoyed the sun. It was nice and warm. We got a little bit of gelato, and it was such a good time, and I was really grateful for them inviting me to go with them. It was fun. The next day, they invited me to go with them on an adventure. At first, we were going to go to a finca, but all the tours were booked, so we went up the mountain to the top. Oh, it was quite scary and very windy, but we went up there, and they said there was a really cool hike to go on. I'm a city girl, so let me just tell you, I had never really been on a hike. Before heading on our journey, as I mentioned, I'm a city girl, never been on like a 3-4 hour hike, and that is just what we did. This was the beginning of it. We were walking, it was nice and level, got to see beautiful views from up there. I didn't really know what I was getting myself into at this point, but I was really just going with the flow, like I said, and yeah, we went through some really beautiful places I would have never seen if I didn't say yes to this experience. And I was so grateful I did, because it was a life-changing moment. And this is Anita. She's so awesome. Love her. And yeah, this was the beginning of the hike. We went all the way down and up that mountain on the other side, as you see. So yes, I was in for a treat and I was ready. But my goodness, the nature was so beautiful. You could actually hear your voice echo through the trees. It was amazing. And this is the awesome Italian couple I met. They're from Turin, which is where my Italian side of the family is from. And they actually were sweet enough to make bagna cauda, which is a traditional dish during the holidays. And because I wasn't home for the holidays, this was my first time away from home, and they actually made it, and it was the sweetest thing. After climbing up the mountain, we finally made it back to civilization, and this was kind of like where farms were. There was a bunch of chickens and cats and just a bunch of animals roaming around. And it was so cool because we actually found an almond tree. So we got some almonds. There was, wild rosemary and lavender growing, and we picked some. There was some avocados that we got some fresh avocados from. And yes, we finally made it up to this area. We did stop and have a little break and have some lunch. It was our first break after like a few hours, but the view was gorgeous. Look at it. I was just in amazement. And here is Anita and Flor. And here we all are together. They're just the sweetest. We found some dragon trees and took some pictures. These trees were so big, we looked so small. And yes, we carried on our way, and it was tough this last bit, but we celebrated, had some wine and beer, enjoyed the sunset, and we waited for the bus to go back down to the hostel. It was such a beautiful day, such a life-changing moment to experience nature in a way I never had before. This is me on the way to the airport the next day, and if I could change anything, I would spend more time in La Palma. Tenerife was beautiful, but La Palma was full of nature. It was less touristy, and it was such a moment of growth for me. And yes, so here I am, sadly flying back to Madrid and back to the cold. And from Madrid, I hopped on a train and I was making my way back to my little town.